Welcome. I've been given to understand that this is Australia and that people will arrive according to their own distribution, not the expected one. So the density of people arriving is slowly sinking. So let's commence the proceedings. Welcome to the Industry Day at Wisdom. I don't need to convince all of you that this is the most interesting session of the conference because you're here, but you need to tell everyone else what they missed, because this is sort of what we like things to be about. Wisdom has always been about meeting, about academia meeting industry, and this day will bring that to the fore. Now, first, there has been a schedule change, which most of you have noted. There's been a snow thing somewhere else in the world, which means that our invited speaker will be here, will arrive momentarily, but will be speaking just after lunch. And we have moved up two of the speakers from after lunch, and they will give us some insights from their work. Gary and Jingxia will be giving their talks in just a few minutes. Also, there's a visa hassle for some people, and this is something I take personally very seriously. This is something that never should happen. But it has. And those of you who are Australians, please call your MPs and complain about this, because this is really not right. One of our speakers, the last one of the day, will be giving his talk remotely. We'll see how that works out during lunch and during the coffee breaks. And if so, he'll be speaking from France using technology made available to us, not by the government of Australia, but by ourselves in this room. And this is really a serious issue. I mean, we can, shrug and say these things happen, but they shouldn't happen. I mean, people miss planes and there might be snow, but having governments stopping people from speaking to other people, that's just not right. And this has happened at every conference I've been to the last few years. This seems to be an increasing problem, partly because research is done in other places in the world than previously, and partly because governments are becoming less and less permissive about these sorts of things. This is not right, and we all need to do something about it. So if you see this happen, complain to the people you're allowed to complain to. Please help, because this is not right at all. So the resulting schedule, back on a happy note, is full of really interesting talks. There is a printout here, and we'll distribute it over the day. It's not the one in the booklet. So the main thing being that the last speaker is remote. Let's see, do I have a little pointer here? Yes, I do. There's a remote parentheses added to the last speaker. We'll see how that goes. There's also the keynote right here after lunch, and Gary Tang and Jingxia right here in a few minutes. So those are the changes, and the printout will be distributed in just a minute or so. So the theme, as you've noticed, is long-term versus short-term. And those of us who work in industry with research know what this means. There are all kinds of, let's say, there's a different wavelength as to what we're working on when we do research and when we do development. I like to think of it as research being where you know the question, but you have no idea of the answer, and development, we actually do know the answer, but there might be, thresholds to cross and unexpected challenges along the way, but you do know what you're doing. In research, you don't always know what you're doing or what you're aiming for. But this means that the success and disappointment criteria are slightly different. And this is something I like to think about when I work, and I know that this has not been invented by me. This is sort of the distinction we like to talk about when we meet. And these are the things we want to hear about. Now, people don't like to talk about the disappointments. And I expect nothing else from the speakers today. So this is up to you in the audience to ask them about their disappointments, because these are actually quite interesting things. This is more or less what I just said, and that's the other thing that's important to think about is how to fit research results into a development pipeline. If we know something works, how do we know it actually improves the end result? This is something, again, you as an audience should ask the speakers about to get the thing going. We got 18 proposed talks, and we're quite happy about that. All of them would have, made us happy. We had space for 9, and these are the ones we will be hearing. They will make us happy. Daria, you have some words to say, and so I'm introducing here my co-chair, who I am the co-chair of. Daria's done most of the work, as you've noticed from the correspondence, and so we thought a bit about how to go about selecting the 18 or getting the 18. Let's see this microphone.
Okay. Hi, I'm Daria from Amazon Search, and I love industry days. I think there's lots of interesting research goes on in lots of companies, big and small, and lots of it does not get published. So industry days serve as a great outlet for industry scientists to present the work that they wouldn't publish otherwise, and for the rest of us to learn what's actually going on in the companies and what people are doing there. So this year we introduced several new initiatives in how the industry day at Wisdom is run in order to promote industry day and to make it more attractive and better serve this goal of connecting applied scientists and other scientific communities. So first of all, as Jussi said, we this year accepted talks by submission instead of just inviting our friends. So I think it works great both ways. So first, for us, we got lots of submissions from people we don't know personally, and we wouldn't have think of inviting, and the talks are great. So I think we got a much better program than if we just tried reaching out to people we know. And it also works great the other way around, because as a speaker who has a good talk, it's actually speaking from my personal experience 2 years ago when I wanted to give an industry talk, and I had to figure out who knows the industry day chair this conference or this conference, how to actually get to them. Maybe my manager knows this guy. So, yeah, so it was a bit of a nightmare, and I think the best way for both for chairs and for speakers is when this is organized by submission. So you submit a proposal and chairs pick the best ones, and we get a good program. Another new thing this year, most of the talks will be recorded. When it's an academic paper, even if you don't go to the conference, you can read the paper later. Now, even if you missed this session, for most of the talks, you will be able to go online and look at them. So luckily, most of the companies agreed to have these talks recorded and made available. So hopefully this initiative will continue later too. And recording the talks required money, and the easiest way to find the money was just to ask my own company. So Amazon is the gold sponsor, official sponsor of Industry Day today. And I want to say thanks for the recruiting org that supported my initiative and made this possible. And now the fun part. We are going to have the Best Industry Day Award for the first time. And you, the audience, will actually decide who is going to get this award. There is a URL for the voting. It's tried to make it easy to remember, tinyurl.com, wisdom-industry-day. But we will be putting up this information several times during the day. So the way it works, you need to provide your name when you vote, because we don't want it to make a competition whether Google or Microsoft have more employees. So only people who actually registered at the conference will be counted. So don't send this link to anywhere else. So only people who actually see the talks vote. And you will be able to vote for multiple talks. So if you like several talks, feel free to vote for several talks. And you will be able to edit your vote through the whole day. And we will turn it off somewhere around the midnight. And then we will look at the result, identify the winner, and the award will be announced at the same time as all other Wisdom Awards. And this is, I think, happens on Wednesday at 3:30 after one of the keynote talks. And that's it. So our first speaker today is Gary Tang from Airbnb.